Hey y'all, and welcome back to another What's for Dinner video.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.
Up first is deviled egg and bacon sandwiches. I got this idea from my good friend Jennifer over at Southern Mama Drama. On this night, I had forgotten to put dinner in the crock pot that morning. We were supposed to be having pinto beans on this night, but I forgot. And so I had to throw something together pretty quick, pulled out some bacon and eggs, and we had us a good sandwich. Now, Justin usually likes to cook bacon out on the grill so that the whole house doesn't end up smelling like bacon, but he was running late on this night getting home, and so I threw the bacon in the oven and got my eggs to boiling. Now I usually put my eggs on once they start boiling. I'll let them boil for just a couple minutes and cut them off, and then let them sit there for about 15 minutes before I peel them. Y'all, I can't tell you that I have found the perfect trick for peeling eggs either. I just do the best I can. In Jennifer's What's for Dinner, where she made this, she gave some good tips for boiling and peeling eggs, so I will make sure to link that down in the description box. Now, I'm just mashing up my eggs. If I remember correct, I did 5. I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch that clip. And then I put in some mayonnaise, mustard, salt and pepper, and a little bit of pickle juice. Just make it like you would normally make the filling for your deviled eggs. I did not measure any of this out. If I was guessing, I would say I probably put in about 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, maybe 2 tablespoons of mustard, and about 2 tablespoons of pickle juice. While I was mixing this up, Audrey was helping me out, and she's back there in the background toasting up some bread for us. Now here it is. All we've got to do is put it together and enjoy our sandwich. The next recipe I have for you is bacon wrapped stuffed venison. I mentioned this in the grocery haul where I picked up some of the things that we needed for it, and several of you were pretty interested in it, so I'm excited to share it with you. Now we're using venison, but you could use pork, you could use beef, you could use chicken. If you have the chance to try venison though, if you have the chance to try deer meat, definitely give it a try. Now, I am using a couple of jalapenos from our garden. I put them on the grill and charred them up a little bit, and then threw them in a bowl with a little plastic wrap to let them sweat before I peeled them off. And then I'm going to take the seeds out of them. My kids enjoy jalapenos, but not so much the heat from the seeds. So I took the seeds out and chopped those up, and then you'll see me add it into a block of softened cream cheese. Now all I'm going to do is take my piece of deer tenderloin. I'm going to put a little bit of the cream cheese mixture on it, and then I'm going to take half of a piece of bacon and wrap it all the way around it. You could definitely hold the bacon on there with a toothpick if you wanted to soak some toothpicks in water and use that to hold it on. I didn't. I just put them on the grill. Not a big deal, but if you want them to stay nice and neat, you could definitely soak some toothpicks and hold it together that way. Alright, now I'm just going to put on some salt and pepper and that butt rub. I have found that any barbecue type seasonings taste really good on this, so I'm just going to get that on there. This reminds me a lot of a recipe that we do with Dove, and I know it's that time of year, so if that's something you've got, maybe you could give that a try too. Right towards the end, we threw some asparagus on the grill and enjoyed us a delicious dinner. Last but not least, those pinto beans and cornbread that I meant to cook on the night that we had the bacon sandwiches. Now I have a big old bag of pinto beans here. I'm only going to use about a pound and a half. I've got some country ham. You could also use bacon, and then I season mine with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and bay leaves. I'm going to go ahead and look my pinto beans now. I can remember many a day sitting at the table with my mama looking pinto beans. You just want to make sure there's no pebbles or rocks or anything like that in there. And then I rinse mine really well. I don't soak them. I just rinse them and then put them straight into the crock pot. In goes the country ham. Like I said, you could also cut up a couple slices of bacon, 2 bay leaves, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And then we're going to cover this with about 2 inches of water. This is something that you're going to want to keep a check on throughout the day because these babies will soak up the water and you'll have to add more. If this is something you're going to put on the crock pot and then just like go off to work or something and leave it all day, make sure you add extra water because you will need it. Now I cook mine on high for 2 hours and then I cut it down to low for another 4 to 6 hours. It does take these a while to cook. You could do it just on low, but it would take more like 9 or 10 hours. So make sure you give yourself enough time if that's your plan. And this is what they look like when they are done. They are delicious. Now let's make us some cornbread to go with them. The recipe for how I make my cornbread will be down in the description box, but we're going to start by melting about 4 tablespoons of butter in a cast iron skillet. We're going to add into a bowl 2 cups of yellow cornmeal. There's a cornmeal dust storm. A cup of self-rising flour. We're going to put in 1 egg. We're going to put in 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a couple of tablespoons of maple syrup. Yes, brown sugar and maple syrup. I like my cornbread to be a little bit sweet, not overly sweet, just enough to give it a little something extra. Then we're going to put in our salt. I about forgot to sprinkle in some salt. Then we're going to do half of the melted butter, and then we're going to pour in milk just until it gets to the right consistency. That's what you've got to do with biscuits and cornbread. You just got to go for a look. And I'm going to show you what that is in just a second. Here's the consistency that you're looking for with your cornbread mix. It almost reminds me of a pancake batter, not quite that thin. And then we're going to pour it into our hot cast iron skillet. So our skillet's hot and it's got the other half of that melted butter in there. That's going to help you get a nice crust on the outside of your cornbread. That is delicious. Now I bake mine at 375 for about 20 or 25 minutes or until you can put a toothpick in the middle and it comes out clean. And then we eat. All right, here's the great debate. How do you eat your pinto beans? I like mine with some pepper sauce, mayonnaise, and onions, and my cornbread on the side. How do you eat your pinto beans? Thank y'all so much for coming along on this week's What's for Dinner. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. And if you're not subscribed, hit the button. Join our family. We would love to have you. We'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.